First and foremost, thank you both so much for joining me on this special second half of Carbon Matters live streaming. We're really going to dig in deep to talking about the role of county veteran service officers. We're going to talk about NACVSO and the role they play in regards to CVSOs, county veteran service officers. And then I want to, of course, highlight Operation Green Light for veterans. So with that said, what I'd like to do is if we could start with some brief introductions. Nicole, could I go ahead and ask you first a brief introduction of your background and some highlights also about Hancock County, Ohio, please?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I am an Air Force veteran. I was in the Air Force from 91 to 98, did security forces work for 3 years and public affairs for 4 years. And I have been a county veteran service officer in Hancock County, Ohio since 2011. And we have about 4,400 veterans in our community, right about 7% of our population. And I think that kind of lines up with the national average of the number of veterans in the community or in the country. I am married to a veteran. I am the daughter of a Vietnam veteran, and both of my grandpas. One was a Korean War veteran and the other one World War II. So long line of military service. And I am born and raised in the community where I am a CVSO. So for me, it's extra special because I'm serving my peers and now my children's peers and some of my dad's peers. So it's very special.
All right. So you're also, though, currently you're dual hatted because not only are you the director of the office there, but just briefly, how about your other role that you have in regards to supporting veterans?
So I am the president of NACVSO, which is the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers. And our mission is to equip and train veteran advocates who are local government employees. So that could be tribal service officers, county veteran service officers, sometimes it's parish service officers. So that is our mission, is to advocate for those veteran advocates on the Hill, as well as training them and working with the Office of General Counsel at the VA for accreditation for those veteran advocates.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Christine, let me turn it over to you for a brief introduction, please.
Sure. My name is Christine LeClaire. I'm the Director of Veterans Affairs for Carbon County. I served in the Army from 2001 to 2009. I'm an Operation Iraqi Freedom veteran. Much like you, Nicole, I also came back to serve in my community. So I was born and raised here. And after quite a few years away, I returned home here to raise my 2 wonderful children, Jack and Reagan, in the community that I grew up in. And I'm so happy to be back here and, serving our local veterans.
Yeah. Christine, more or less, give me a ballpark figure of the size of our veteran population in Carbon County, understanding we have about 64,000 residents in Carbon County.
Right, 64,000 veterans and about 5,400 veterans. So we're right at about 8% of our population here is veterans.
Okay. And I'm assuming that both Nicole and Christine, the largest demographic is the Vietnam era for both. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So Christine, let me start with you a quick question, because can you describe, kind of what is a CVSO, a County Veteran Service Officer, and what duties and responsibilities do they have?
Sure. How much time do I have, Chris?
You have about 90 seconds. Yeah.
So we are the link between veterans and their earned benefits.
Mhm.
So we assist veterans in filing for local, state, and federal benefits.
Mhm.
We also can help with homelessness. Here in Carbon County, we have so many different programs like Veterans Treatment Court, the Military Share Food Program, and so many other services that are available to vets. We also help them file for state benefits, real estate tax exemption, veterans temporary assistance, blind and paralyzed veterans pension. The list goes on and on. You name it, and we've probably seen it in the office here.
All right. So I think right up front, you kind of hit the bottom line up front. The CVSO serves as the link, or, what I often say is the bridge between the veteran and often their family members, their widows, and earned benefits for them. Nicole, can you talk a little bit about how one becomes, let's say, a certified CVSO? When I hear accreditation certified, does one have to be accredited or certified to claim the title?
So it is different in every state, and that is one of the things that I think is really incredible, because the needs in every community are a little different as far as their veteran population and how they might be funded. So what I normally recommend to someone who is interested in becoming a veteran advocate is to attend one of the trainings that NACVSO offers, because you do not have to be currently employed in the line of work in order to attend one of our trainings. You just would not be able to be accredited as a service officer. And what that means is that if you call the VA to check on the status of a claim that you're working on, that the VA can see that you are an authorized representative and they can communicate with you. And it gives you access to some of the computer systems where you can check things, check the status of claims you have pending. But it is different in every state on how you get that employment and then the accreditation. I can speak pretty fluently about how it works in Ohio. And that is, you find an opening, you apply. Once you get hired, then that community sends you to the training and, works out all of the programs to get you accredited and that type of thing. And I know that in many of the states that have county veteran service officers or city service officers, that is how it works.
What is the training that NACVSO provides? The length of that? How long does that take to become certified?
Yeah, so the length of the training is 1 week, and it is a virtual training course. So it happens from a Monday through a Friday. It is 35, 36 hours, I believe, in that week. And we cover everything from basically all of the federal benefits that Christine talked about, the claims benefits for disability, for pensions, the healthcare benefits, maybe touching a little bit on some of the homelessness and, those types of benefits, as well as a little bit of appeals work. We have specialized training for the appeals work once someone becomes accredited, but it does give an overview of all of those things. Then, of course, with the expectation that each office is going to have their own training person who, is evaluating what is the process in their local office.
Okay, great. Christine, what is the day in the life of a county veteran service officer look like? Is there a common day, a common routine, common issues?
Every day is absolutely different. We have a lot of appointments coming in, more so now with the passage of the PACT Act, and also with all of the commercials and texts and emails that people are receiving about Camp Lejeune water. So we are being flooded with phone calls and emails and walk-ins about that, which is great, because we're a one-stop shop for people to come in and get all of that information that they need. We do a lot of outreach from our office. So we'll go to senior centers, we will go to the correctional facility, just to educate people on benefits and what's out there for them and help connect them to those benefits.
So Christine, in Carbon County, Pennsylvania, not to confuse it with Montana or Utah, Wyoming, that also have a Carbon County. I meant to mention that when you said Carbon County, because I do have a national audience here, so don't want to confuse the good folks out there. I actually had a beauty queen from I think it was Carbon County, Wyoming, who liked our Facebook page or something. And I think she was, wrong set of commissioners in Carbon County. So I always like to clarify that. But Christine, can you tell me, and I meant to mention this when we first started with introductions, the organizational structure of your Veterans Affairs Department, what is it composed of?
So I am the department head. We do have another full-time veteran service officer, and we also have a part-time veteran service officer as well.
Okay. Are they 40-hour a week and the other is 20, or how is that?
We are actually, we've all been working about 40 hours a week. The two full-time are 40 hours a week. Part-time has been working a little bit more than usual to help us keep up with all these claims, and especially with Veterans Day coming up and all of the activities. We really just want to stay on top of everything.
All right. So Nicole, how about the organizational structure there in Hancock County?
Yes, so I am the director and we have an assistant director. Both of us are also county veteran service officers. And then we have 2 additional full-time service officers. And all of our service officers also work financial assistance matters. So we don't have one specific person who handles those types of matters. We all help with that. Then we have a transportation manager. In Ohio, we provide transportation to VA medical appointments. And so we have an individual who manages the drivers who provide that transportation, and he also manages our fleet of vehicles. And we have a resiliency operations manager, and that individual manages all of our resiliency programs. So we have 6 different resiliency programs to help equip veterans and their families to live the best life possible if they're experiencing any kind of mental health challenges. And then we have 1 executive assistant, and he really only works about 4 or 5 hours a week, is just in helping me prepare documents for board meetings and community distribution.
Nicole, what's your budget?
We have just a little over 1 million a year in our budget.
So I hate to do this to you, Christine, but what's your budget, Christine?
About $160,000.
Isn't that something? So Nicole, so interesting. Let's talk, let's say chain of command, and then connect that to the dollars in Ohio for your department. Who do you report to, and how does your funding come to you, and from where does it originate?
Okay, so we have a board of 5 veteran service commissioners who are appointed by our common pleas judges. And there is one for each to represent each veteran service organization. They serve 5-year terms. So one for, AMVETS, American Legion, DAV, VFW, and then the 5th seat is an at-large seat that comes from the Military Order of the Purple Heart, the Korean War Veterans Association. And so that's who I report to, as the Veteran Service Commissioners. And our budget comes from property taxes. So the Ohio Revised Code states that we will receive 0.5 millage of the property tax.
Uh-huh.
And I am in a very affluent community.
Uh-huh.
And so I do have a large budget.
Mhm.
And it doesn't surprise me at all to hear someone who, like Christine, who's in a county with um, a little more than 1,000 more veterans than I have, who has a much smaller budget. And
Mhm.
even in the state of Ohio, we see situations like that, because if someone is in a community that we have a lot of businesses in our community, and so there's a lot more property
The
taxes.
property taxes.
Yeah.
Right. So
So
your relationship with the County Board of Commissioners, informal?
I don't know that I would say informal.
Mhm.
We present our budget requests to them per the
Mhm.
Ohio Revised Code, and
Mhm.
then they, appropriate those funds. All of our bills get submitted through our county auditor's office, so that we have good checks and balance systems like anyone should if they are operating in a
Mhm.
government-funded
Yeah.
office.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Christine, how about in Carbon County?
So I report to the county administrator
Mhm.
and serve at the pleasure of our 3 commissioners.
Mhm.
And then our funds are appropriated through the commissioners. And our budget requests and everything go through the commissioner's office as well.
And 100% of that actually comes from within the county, correct? Unless there happens to be some grants or stuff that might come in. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, no, that's great. Very different, I guess, financial pipes for each, and really the chain of command or chain of authority seems a little bit different. Nicole, what are the primary issues that you're seeing with veterans who are coming into your office in Hancock County? Are they different from what you see nationally as the president of NACVSO, or are they pretty standard?
It seems to be pretty standard. What we are seeing in our community is a lot of the same things that I am hearing from other communities. There's a lot of people who are dealing with challenges in coming out of the social isolation from COVID and how that is impacting their mental health. Also, a lot of people who maybe didn't go to doctor's appointments that should have been going to doctor's appointments during that 2.5-year time span. So maybe some medical situations have gotten worse.
Right.
And, some of the people who took advantage of bills that they didn't have to pay during COVID, and now they're realizing that maybe that wasn't a good idea because they can't figure out how to pay them. And obviously, I think the other really big one is the passage of the PACT Act and all of the commercials that are happening, like Christine talked about with the Camp Lejeune water, and how we as veteran advocates have to funnel all of this information that we're getting from so many different sources, and then help the veterans or the spouses understand those benefits and how to apply for them. So that has been a challenge, and that's something that NACVSO is helping with by offering workshops to make sure that everyone understands the benefits and putting information on our website for our members as a toolkit to help them when someone walks in the door.
Christine, so in Carbon County, if you could rack and stack kind of the priority issues or the majority of issues that you see on a daily basis, what are they?
Not so much on a daily basis, but across the board, my number one concern was veteran-specific mental health care. Very happy that we were able to address that. Scranton Vet Center has opened a community access point here. They have been filled with appointments, so that's fantastic. Very happy about that.
Right.
Transportation, of course,
Yeah.
is an issue. We do have transportation service to the VA, but for private doctors and things like that, we really don't have any specific services to help veterans get there.
Okay, so let me just question this. What about Carbon Transit?
Right. So I offer that as a resource. I don't know why people don't use it,
Right.
but they don't.
Huh, isn't that something? Yeah. Well, you know, we had a conversation, or I had a conversation with the lead planning and scheduler for Carbon Transit, because I'm working the beach bus for the summer. And there is this sense that, quite honestly, it's poor people or the most elderly who use it. And unlike in a major city where, you know, the person who earns $200,000 a year is sitting beside the person who cleans his office. You know, in these smaller towns and rural areas, there tends to be maybe a greater separation and unwillingness to kind of use that type of service. It's almost psychological, you know. And again, it was an interesting. Hey, so talking about transitioning service members, Nicole, do you have many service members, you know, recently retiring from like active duty, coming back to Hancock County or coming into Hancock County?
You know, I don't know for sure what the number is. I would venture to say it's a very small percentage of our people, primarily because we don't have a base close to us. We do have some Guard and Reserve units that are, you know, a county or two away from us. So maybe
Right.
some of those, but we do not seem to have a large population of people who are retiring and moving here. And I think that, you know, many of the younger veterans who go in, they serve for 8-10 years. They may come back to our community, but they're trickling in, you know, so slowly because it sounds like our communities are similar in size, that it's hard to gauge that, I think.
How about you, Christine?
We are in the same boat, Nicole. I do encounter some veterans who are returning. They come back and they're filing those compensation claims, but they're not coming to events that we have. I understand that, you know, they're still working and raising families. A couple of the local VFWs, American Legions, we are seeing some younger members, but people who are transitioning out of the military, we just aren't seeing them.
No, Christine and Nicole, I had been working with a Soldier for Life program. Obviously, some of the transition services in different installations, and you know, CVSO isn't a term they recognize when you say it. You know, what's that acronym? I never heard of it before. And I think that really brings us to about our last 7 or 8 minutes. And that's talking about raising awareness about the critical role that each of you in county veteran service officers, and I would be remiss not to mention the veteran service organizations, play in connecting service members to those benefits. And part of the issue is the lack of awareness of this valuable resource that's right there in our counties, in our communities, subject matter experts with great experience and great reach into the VA and into many of the programs that would be very helpful to our veterans, family members, widows that they are unaware of. And that really turns me to, Operation Greenlight for Veterans. But what I want to do as a way of introduction, we're going to take I'm going to call it a couple-minute break, and I'm going to show the couple-minute launch of Operation Greenlight for Veterans. And then we're going to take a couple minutes. I'm going to ask Nicole to talk a little bit about Operation Greenlight for Veterans. And then what I'd like to do, Christine, is turn it over to you and kind of demonstrate some of the programs or activities that Carbon County is putting into place to raise that awareness of the role of counties and CVSO. So let me go ahead and switch over to that here real quick and see if we can make this happen. All right.
Join me in welcoming Carbon County, Pennsylvania Commissioner Chris Savage, who chairs NACO's Military Services Committee, and Nicole Coleman, Executive Director of the Hancock County, Ohio Veterans Service Office and President of the National Association of County Veterans Service Officers. Chris Savage and Nicole Coleman.
NACO's Veteran Military Services Committee brings together more than 100 county officials from across the nation to develop and highlight best practices, promote innovative programs, policies, and services that benefit our nation's military veterans and their families. As you know, Americans' counties have a long and proud history of serving our nation's veterans, a legacy that continues to this day. As we work with our federal, state, and local partners to ensure that former service members in our communities have access to the resources they need to thrive.
I'm Nicole Coleman, and I am the president of the National Association of County Veterans Service Officers, or NACVSO for short, and a NACO affiliate. NACVSO is a congressionally recognized veterans service organization that provides training, professional accreditation, advocacy, and support to our municipal, county, state, and tribal veteran advocates across the country. In 29 states, county veteran service officers are responsible for assisting millions of veterans with a range of benefits, from education, disability, pension, enrollment in the healthcare system, and available job placement assistance. Our relatively small workforce is responsible for processing $52 billion in compensation, pension, and healthcare benefits for veterans every year.
Well, this coming Veterans Day, NACO and NACVSO are joining forces to highlight the critical role that counties and veteran service officers play by launching Operation Greenlight for Veterans nationwide. This effort is inspired by the statewide campaign conducted by New York State Association of Counties, the New York State County Veteran Service Officer Association, and the New York State County Executives Association. Inspired by their model, we are inviting all of America's counties, boroughs, and parishes to participate in Operation Greenlight this fall by lighting up one or more municipal buildings in green from November 7th to November 13th. By shining a green light, you'll let former service members know they are remembered, they are seen, and they are supported. You can get started immediately by passing a resolution affirming your participation in Operation Greenlight for Veterans. We've provided a sample resolution on the operation's new landing page at www.naco.org/Operation Greenlight. On this landing page, you'll find a wide variety of resources to help to spread the word about Operation Greenlight. These sample press releases, letters to the editor, letters to Congress, social media graphics, and sample social media posts will help counties, boroughs, and parishes advertise Operation Greenlight to businesses, individuals, nonprofits, and even our federal partners, so they too can participate in the effort.
Not only will Operation Greenlight show veterans that they are supported, but it also allows counties to advertise the benefits that are available and the resources, including CDSOs in your county, that we make available to veterans every year. As veterans ourselves, Chris and I are so excited to participate in this joint initiative, and we hope that you will join us in this important mission. Stay tuned for more information from NACO and NACPSO on how you can get involved. We can't wait to see Operation Greenlight in action this November.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys. So if you could, Nicole, could you kind of sum up Operation Greenlight for veterans, from your perspective?
Yes, this is an amazing opportunity for people to do something as simple as putting a green light in their business windows, on their front porch, and ideally for the city and county buildings to be lit up green, to advertise the benefits that are available for veterans and to show veterans that they are remembered and supported. And my hope is that everyone who's listening is going to go to NACO.org/Operation Greenlight, because the resources there are very simple to use so that you can be making those social media posts and taking the opportunity when people see the green light to tell them why there's a green light and tell them about the resources available through the county and city veteran service officers.
So Christine, Operation Greenlight for veterans in Carbon County. We were fortunate, we took the bull by the horn. I'd like to say, first in the nation, Operation Greenlight for Veterans County, obviously is in a unique position to kind of do that, but it was great to do that. But you have done just an incredible job setting up more or less about 5 or 6 days of activities, bringing them all together to raise awareness and again to show veterans that they are seen, appreciated, supported. Can you talk a little bit about the activities that Carbon County, Pennsylvania is going to have this coming week?
Sure. So on Sunday at 2 o'clock, we are kicking off with a Veterans Day parade that will be held in Palmerton at 2 o'clock. So we're hoping for great weather for that. On Monday, we will have our county service in the park, and that will serve as the official kickoff for Operation Greenlight for veterans activities in the county here. Tuesday on Election Day, we are doing a Vets Vote campaign. So we're asking vets to go out and vote and then meet us at Mock-Chunk Lake Park for a campfire on the beach. And we'll have some hot dogs and s'mores probably. On Wednesday at 0700 at the flagpole, Mock-Chunk Lake Park again, we're going to do a ruck march. I will bring my scale and I'll be weighing everyone's rucksacks. So don't come light. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. Thursday is a really big day for us. At 1 p.m. we are having the grand opening of the Veterans Hub of Northeastern Pennsylvania. So we will be in St. Luke's Lehighton. We'll do the ribbon cutting for our new satellite office there. We're really excited about that. And then at 5 p.m. that night at Penns Peak, we will be doing a Veterans Day dinner, and we have nearly 300 people RSVP'd to attend that event. So I'm thrilled with the turnout. I'm really excited to connect with so many vets. There's so many names on the list that I never met before, so I'm really excited to meet them. And then on Friday, there are a lot of other activities through the county. Lehigh Valley Health Network is doing a flag raising. St. Luke's is doing a Veterans Day program. Carbon County Technical Institute is putting on a program for veterans and offering brunch. And a lot of the schools and nursing homes in the area are doing a lot of great activities then. Also on Thursday, I forgot to mention, at the commissioners meeting, we will be adopting the resolution for the Hidden Heroes County as part with the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. So we're really excited about that as well.
Yeah, definitely a full, call it a full week of activities. Really excited about the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, Hidden Heroes County. That was a great event in DC to really get to understand the impact that specific campaign has on those who are really supporting veterans, be it family members, friends, just an incredible campaign there. Nicole, wrapping up with you in Hancock County, but I'm going to ask you to speak to something, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. There is a Veterans Memorial and National Museum in Columbus, Ohio, is there not? Have you visited? Can you give us a little insight to it? Because I read a great review of it in the Wall Street Journal about a year or so ago, I believe.
I would love to talk about NVMM. I have been there several times.
Okay.
And they have many, many resources on their website that you can actually participate in a lot of their programs virtually. Understanding, obviously, that not everyone can make it there in person. If you are able to make it there in person, I highly recommend it. It is one of the most unique and beautiful museums I've ever been to. And what I love about it is there are a lot of museums that talk about, or memorials that talk about specific periods of war or specific groups of veterans. But this is one that talks about what was it like to stand on those yellow footprints? How did you get to that point? And then what was every step like? What was basic training like? What was going to AIT like? What was it like? And then they go all the way through to the end when you were reintegrating with your community. And it really is, the facility is beautiful, and the way they share the message of the American service member. And I highly recommend attending there. If you're able to, checking out their website. They do also have a public leadership program that is in partnership with The Ohio State University. I graduated from the second veterans cohort in that program, and that is all virtual, and that is a partnership with NVMM. Their retired Lieutenant General Michael Ferreter is one of the instructors in the course, and he is the founding executive director for the National Veterans Memorial and Museum.
Okay, well, great. And thank you so much for wrapping up with the highlights and really as an overview of the National Veterans Memorial and Museum.
Correct.
Okay, great. All right. Well, I want to thank you both, first and foremost, for the role you play as county veteran service officers. Secondly, for the role you play of directors of your respective departments, serving as that bridge between veterans and their earned benefits. And then, of course, as veterans yourself, I hope each of you have a wonderful Veterans Day, and specifically a Veterans Week, as we carry out Operation Greenlight for Veterans campaign from 7 to 13 November. Thanks for everything you do. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining me.